The zoning commission regular meeting for Monday, March 5th, 7:03.
We don't have our clerk.
We have
We don't have
Mr.
a
Rabbitis will be
clerk.
back.
Yeah,
We don't have him either.
We don't have a clerk.
We have, we'll make notes.
Okay.
We have a secretary here.
Oh, he won't make notes.
And Jackie is with us. Jackie has replaced Jerry Post, so welcome back.
Thank you.
And
Happy
we
to be
have
back.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mike is not here. We have 5 members, so we can appoint,
Six,
Six.
7, 6, 6.
we have 5.
And you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got to take,
Mike's place.
Joe's taking Mike's
Somebody.
place. So I'm going to appoint him for Mike,
Oh,
Got it.
okay.
okay? Appointment of alternates. So note that Joe is seating for Mike. Minutes of February 5th. Does anyone see any changes or corrections?
Dave, I have a few.
Okay,
Let me just start on the front page. The others are sort of typo type things, but on the front page, I call your attention to line 46 and 47. 46 reads, Jamie Rabbit expressed his concerns as of right approval for the use, period. And it goes on to say, he instructed the commission that members cannot state an opinion during a public hearing. My reaction to that is that I know the secretary who composed these minutes was trying to consolidate dialogue, but I'm uncomfortable with the notion of Jamie Rabbit providing instruction. The relationship that we have with the town planner is one of a collaborative relationship. Our only accountability as members of this commission is to the voters, and not to the commission, to the director of planning. And so, my thought is to indicate a collaborative relationship, what we should be identifying as he provided advice or counsel. He's not instructing us because instruction implies that it's an order and there's compliance expected, and that's not our relationship. We have no responsibility other than to accept in good faith his advice and counsel, which, given his many years of experience, are very valuable. But
Would
in
you
this
change
case,
the word
More to advice.
Wording
instructed
should
to
be-
advised?
yeah.
Just change that
Yeah.
word?
And then I don't know that it's accurate, but he went on to say that we cannot state an opinion. I guess that's neither here nor there, but my point is that the relationship is mischaracterized by the statement that it was
Correct.
instruction.
and it also,
Okay.
perhaps it should say that members should not state in his opinion. We can, as a commission, make any statement and do anything we choose. Our legal, the legal recourse of people in the audience or somebody else, we might be held for it, we might have to pay for it, but we're entitled to say it. So I
Well-
take your objection seriously, and I think we should strike this
Before I move
paragraph.
on, just a reminder that we're not expected to conduct public hearings as if this is a courtroom. This is not a courtroom. We're
Right.
entitled to some latitude in an informal environment, and so be aware.
Okay.
That's what.
I would
we're trying to
recommend we
achieve.
strike that paragraph
Okay.
Well,
entirely.
So on to line 65. My last name is the second word, and my last name has 2 T's on the end of it.
not anymore.
It's supposed to have 2 T's. Line 173, it's on page 4. The same issue applies in line 184. So 173 and 184, the phrasing is a little mixed up here. It's the 173 reads, "The applicant lower center of the site 6 inches." What it really is intending to say is that the signboard, the horizontal board with the text, should be lowered from 5 feet to 4.5 feet. So the same statement is in line 184. So what I'm thinking is it should read, "The applicant lower center of
think it was the sign.
Yeah,
It's the signboard itself, the horizontal signboard, which is bounded by 2 vertical posts. The comment wasn't about the height of the post, the comment was about the height of the text board, to lower that by 6 inches from 5 feet to 4.5. So that 173 and 174 are the same thing.
I think they intended to say lower the center of the sign
Yeah.
instead of sight.
Well, that would do it too. That didn't occur to me,
Yeah.
but that's,
One word.
that works too. That's it for my comments, Dave.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, correct your name, and 4, I would just as soon strike this paragraph 45 through 49. We all agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Here, motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I make that motion, Dave.
Second.
Second by Joe, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's carries 6-0. The minutes are amended and accepted. Okay, we have a public hearing of application 1807, of James Elder, Folly Farms. Mr. Secretary, can you read the call?
Application 1807 of James A. Eder, agent Robert Petroselli, Folly Farms owner, for a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section H of the Town of Simsbury zoning regulations for a temporary zoning permit for a one-day event on the property located at 75 Hartford Road, Assessors Map G15, Block 110, Lot 012, Zone R40.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Can you,
I'm Barbara Foley, I'm here. Do you want me to? Yes, okay.
I think you've done this
I think
before.
I've done this before, but you've changed the podium, you've kind of changed the look a little.
Do that on purpose.
Yeah, okay, all right. I'm Barbara Foley, I'm the president of the Ron Foley Foundation, and we raise funds for pancreatic cancer research, education through awareness, and we give funds to patients, pancreatic cancer patients in need. And this will be our 10th annual Ron's Run for the Roses coming up May 5th.
okay, I think that's fine. We're all pretty familiar with it since we've been here for this, several of those years. Does anyone in the commission have some questions or comments?
I just wondered if the drawing that was attached, the layout is consistent with last year. and-
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
all right, so it's basically the same
The same.
configuration.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
The only thing that we typically talk about, I see that we have a start time, we have an end time, we can make that motion. Is this tips servers, is that something that we
Yeah.
usually?
What did you say, tips servers?
Right, that's the,
It's training for
They're-
the
yep.
bartenders.
Oh, absolutely, they're trained bartenders, absolutely. But you meant tipped.
no,
They might be tipped, I don't know.
just wanted to make sure that was included, if we need to include it in the motion.
Well, we're just in the public hearing
Right,
phase, so
right.
let's limit our comments to questions about the actual event. Anyone in the public care to comment about this application? Shall we wait 10 seconds? Hearing none.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close the public hearing for application 1807.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Second by Donna, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carries. Mr. Secretary, could you read the call for
Application
application
1808 of K.C. Jones
We're going to come back to you in a minute, if you want to sit down. Yeah. Might be a couple minutes.
on behalf of Ensign Bickford Aerospace and Defense Company, agent Dynona Bell, Inc., owner, for a special exception pursuant to Article 7, Section M of the Town of Simsbury zoning regulations for the construction of concrete block blast effector walls on the property located at 640 Hot Meadow Street, Assessors Map G11, Block 132, Lot 052, Zone I2.
Okay.
Good evening, I'm Casey Jones. I'm here from Ensign Bickford Aerospace and Defense Company, and we are putting an application in for construction of concrete block walls as a result of a change in regulatory interpretation from the Department of Defense, and we're constructing the walls so that we have containment within our properties of any type of debris.
Okay. Any-
Did you want to show us a little bit about where this is in relation to?
Absolutely. This is Greg Hunt from Buck and Buck, engineering firm that we.
Do I turn this towards you or towards the audience? Or compromise? All right. What we have is the, I don't know how well you can see this, but the blast walls are shaded in brown, and they're just concrete test blocks. They'll be 12 feet high, and basically have to be between any point where the buildings are not 600 feet from the property line. So they've been configured to any radial point that's not within 600 feet has a wall in between the structure and the property line. Because we're in the floodplain, we went and checked the conveyance factors for the overbank flow. And before the walls are built, after the walls are built, and then as a point of comparison, I did another section through a existing berm, which is near their test site. And that existing berm, which that section is shown upstream in the blue, turned out to be the bigger bottleneck for the river than either of the proposed walls create. So that's more of a constriction right now. So the impacts from the new walls on any FEMA flood elevations won't be affected upstream from us.
Can you orient us on this?
North is that way. The river is flowing to the top of the page. And
There's a south
Meadow
traffic
Street would be
light.
out here. This is the old railroad bed at the extreme left.
Okay, so Hop Meadow Street doesn't even show that.
Yeah,
not
Hop
at all.
Meadow Street
Yeah,
is
the
that
Farmington
way, but
River
not
It's on the
map.
back of the lot.
Farmington River is
This
right along
between
here.
the
This is
railroad
Farmington
tracks and the
here.
river.
Yeah. So this is well deep into the property. Hot Meadow Street is
Yep.
way out here.
Now, this has been approved by Inland Wetlands, right? Conservation
Yes, it
Commission.
was. Sorry, Greg.
Why now? I missed that.
So there's been a change in interpretation from the Department of Defense explosive siting regulations.
Oh.
And so we're having to make sure that we're in compliance with the new determination.
That was 600 feet.
600
So
feet.
where's the property line on 600 feet?
By the river.
Is it the river?
So
600.
it would be a direct line of sight. So the river itself comes along here. If you take a line from here off the corner, it ends up coming way down here. That has been determined to be, make sure that that's no less than 600 feet.
But the river is the property
The
line.
river is the property
The
line.
riverbank is the property line.
And
So
any direct lines between here and the river would have the block walls between them.
I had a little trouble pinpointing exactly where the reference berm was, but I'm assuming it's that high ground that's south of the last building. Okay.
See the
There's a little contour
The
line.
elevation
Contours
is,
down there.
okay.
It's a earthen berm right now.
They don't allow earthen berms anymore? Is that why you did a
We
concrete?
did concrete blocks for a smaller profile, basically.
Oh.
I think they could still do an
You
earthen
could, yeah, you
berm,
could do it.
but it would be a very large berm to get 12 feet high and mowable slopes.
We can
and
also
everything.
separate at the base level here, slight separation between blocks so that it allows any type of
Preventing pond
flooding
behind
and all that
the
kind of stuff. Concrete, earthen berm would retain all of that.
So is it 12 feet total height or 12 feet from ground level? Don't-
Oh, the blocks are 12 feet high.
Yes.
Off the basically existing grade.
So does design have water flow through there? Is that what the little spacing is?
No, it was, when I did the conveyance factors, I ignored that.
Okay, because
it was
there
more-
are spaces there.
It does have,
Okay.
it does have.
It
space.
does have gaps between the blocks, but that's more to
6
prevent any
inches.
local low points from ponding behind the wall, just to let things drain through.
Okay,
We're
so
not
you are
looking-
planning on putting some flow through it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're allowing flow to go through it.
Any other questions? Anyone from the public care to speak to this application? Give them 10 seconds.
Well, is there anybody on the other side of the river at these points?
Why are we protecting the river?
Across the river and up the road a little bit, there's the nursery, but that's not, that's sort of north and east a little bit, but it's on the other side.
It's more than 600 feet.
Oh, way more, but it's 600, yeah, it would be,
No, I was just wondering who you were protecting from.
It's just a property line thing.
Yeah.
It's a property line thing.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, no one from the public cares to speak? Okay,
I hope it's a signal that the company continues to be here.
Absolutely. it's our
Into the
intention,
future.
yeah. Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that we close the public hearing on application 1808.
I'll second.
second by Donna, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, yeah. Motion carries. The public hearing is
Sit down,
closed
we'll
on
come
that
back to you
application.
in a little while.
Okay, application 1809 of Anna's Kitchen. Mr. Secretary, can you read the call?
Application 1809 of Honest Kitchen LLC, agent, GFP Drake Hill LLC, owner for a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section H of the Town of Simsbury zoning regulations for a beer and wine liquor license on the property located at 712 Hot Meadow Street. Assessors map G10, block 227, lot 001 and 2, zone SC1 and SC3.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name's Jeff Oberman, and with me is my wife, Ana Oliveira, and we're the new owners of Peaberry's, which will be doing business as Honest Kitchen, and soon we'll have a change of name officially on the sign in front. And we're applying for the special exception for beer and wine. We envision ourselves as being able to accommodate or augment our menu with different cuisines that we'll be doing, other than sandwiches and coffee. And part of that is to be able to offer our customers wine with their food or a beer. We envision, something like, 5 to 7, a business like that, people getting out of work, might want a glass of wine, have some food, stop in at Peaberry's or Honest Kitchen and enjoy that. We don't envision being open any later than 10. That's way past my bedtime. I won't be there. And, we like to do some special events, open mics, let's say. We want to do like a paint and sip and things like that. And we want to have some like light jazz music or violinists or something like that for our brunches. And we like to be able to serve mimosas with that or something like that. So that's generally what we're looking for, is kind of a low-key atmosphere, not to interfere, not a club, nothing like that, just to kind of augment the space that we have.
Okay, questions? Commission?
I noticed that Peaberry's has a long history of having a couple tables out front with chairs.
Right.
How do you envision continuing that practice? And
Yes.
would you be looking to provide alcohol out on the sidewalk as well?
Yes, I think that's part of our application to extend it I think there's 2 tables that we would have.
And when are you transitioning from Peaberry's to?
Well, we're waiting for our sign approval. We were supposed to have it tonight, apparently, or the hearing, but there wasn't enough members of the quorum to do so. So although we're disappointed, we'll be back here in 2 weeks in order to get my wife's name up there for Honest Kitchen to signify that we're more than just a coffee shop. Now, I'd just like to explain to you like what we're doing so town knows. We want to continue offering, we recognize Peaberry's as an institution kind of in the town. People go there to meet, they have coffee. Now they're enjoying pastries my wife makes and other additions that she's added to the menu. And we want to keep that, but we also want to augment that, add on to that, to the menu. We'll be changing the menu and adding some items to it, and kind of offering a few more foods items like that. So we want to keep it the way it is, yet we want to expand more of the service that we're able to provide for Simsbury.
So the coffee shop offering, that's still, that
You can still get a good
continues.
cup of coffee at the lattes. See, I make sure the lattes are good. I gotta have a good latte in the afternoon. I come from Hartford from working in the schools, and I come over there in the afternoon, and my wife says, get to work, and I need a good cup of coffee. So that's all gonna be the same. We're actually open a little earlier now to serve coffee. We have different pastry items. All that's the same. But if people want to get a glass of wine with lunch, like we make lasagnas now, we make meat pies, we make other items too. And if they want a glass of wine, or they want to come in after work, sit down with friends, have a glass of wine, a glass of beer, that's what we're looking to do. We're not looking to be, some other, big place to drink or anything like that. That's not what we're about.
But alcohol is going to be available as long, during all business
Yeah,
hours?
we'll be
okay.
available if you wanted it. But during the day, it's primarily a coffee shop.
Remember.
Staff have a comment?
Mr. Chairman, just two items of clarity. You do have a staff report, Exhibit 5, in your packet. Included in that report is a draft motion. It is formatted in a favorable manner with 3 conditions, which deal with the outdoor dining, as Mr. Elliott has brought up, as well as the hours of operation. With regards to the signage, under the Simsbury Center Code, applicants are allowed to apply to staff, and then that goes to the design review board. Once the design review board approves it, we can issue a zoning permit for the sign. Under the Simsbury Center Code, it does not have to come before you unless it's a part of a new unified sign program.
Great.
So again, this one was a simple white background, green lettering. It's really changing the namesake of the business, and it is not changing the backer board or the colors. It's really a one-for-one. I wish from my side, and even from yours, there was a simpler process. But again, it was DRB. We're trying to turn that around in a week. They didn't have a quorum again tonight, but we would expect them to have a quorum in 2 weeks. I may have the applicant actually do some paperwork on the zoning side, and the chance that if DRB didn't meet, that the zoning commission would be authorized to do an approval at your regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
we're still in the public hearing phase, so would anybody in the audience like to speak to this application? Okay, down to 5 seconds.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close the public hearing on application 1809.
I'll second.
Second by Donna.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the public hearing is closed. Okay, we're moving on to application 1807. This is the Folly Farms application, and I believe there's a staff report here. Anybody find it?
Again, Mr. Chairman, under application 18-07 of Folly Farms, you do have a draft motion listed under Exhibit 4 with 3 recommended conditions.
Okay, anybody have any questions or
Well, it's
comments?
just my same question.
Tips, questions?
Yeah, do we have to say that? Jamie, I'm not sure if you were in the room.
Okay.
Do we have to specify in the conditions that they are tips trained bartenders?
Or is
For
it
this event?
catered?
I believe it's catered,
I think
but
it's catered.
It's catered, and I believe for their liquor permit, they need that.
yeah,
So we don't have to
We don't need to
specify?
do it.
Perfect,
we don't have to say that.
great.
Anybody, other comments? The start time and end time are here. It's constrained to May 5th.
Fine.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve application 1807 of James A. Eder, agent, Robert Petroselli, Farley Farms owner, for a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section H of the Town of Simsbury zoning regs for a temporary liquor permit for a one-day event on a property located at 75 Hartford Road. The exception approval is subject to the following conditions. 1, approval is for a one-day event to be held on Saturday, May 5th, 2018. 2, the event start time is 2:30 PM. 3, the event end time is 7 PM.
I will second.
Second by Jackie. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0, it carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have, next application is 1807 of Casey Jones on behalf of Ensign Bickford Aerospace and Defense.
1808.
1808, sorry. And staff has,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
With regard to this application, Exhibit 8, associated with this application, you have a draft motion. It's formulated in a favorable manner, and it contains 5 conditions. That was prepared by Mike Glidden as the flood manager for the town of Simsbury.
okay, does anyone have any issues with moving this application? We have a motion.
Jamie, the applicant is aware of this, right?
Excuse me?
They're aware of this, what we're saying? The applicant?
Has the applicant seen this
The
motion?
draft?
The motion is consistent with what required through the flood manager's responsibilities.
Okay. I was just wondering about the limits on the sewer easement. Okay, ready for a motion?
Yep.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve application 1808 of Casey Jones on behalf of Ensign Bickford Aerospace and Defense Company, agent Dyno Nobel Inc., owner, for a special exception pursuant to Article 7, Section M of the Town of Simsbury zoning regs for the construction of a concrete block blast deflector walls on the property located at 640 Hot Meadow Street. The special exception approval is subject to the following conditions. 1, an administrative zoning permit is required for the construction. 2, limits of sewer easements are to be marked in the field by a licensed surveyor prior to the start of site work. 3, applicant is required to coordinate with WPCA concerning inspections and/or supervision of work within sewer easements. 4, on-site pre-construction meeting with zoning enforcement officer is required before start of site work. And 5, no change in scope of approved work is permitted. Changes to the approved plans require approval from the zoning commission.
Is there a second? Second by Joe. Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 6-0. Thank you. Okay, now we have application 1809 of Anna's Kitchen.
If I can find it.
What's in Boulder Park 5?
All right, where did it go?
I don't have a copy.
Are you looking for the motion?
Yeah, Bruce has it, so he's going to do it.
Oh, Bruce has it?
Yeah.
Perfect, good.
Okay,
Are you ready?
we're ready.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I offer the following motion to approve the application. A motion to approve application number 1809 of Anna's Kitchen LLC, agent GPF Drake Hill LLC, owner, for a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section H of the Town of Simsbury zoning regulations for beer and wine liquor license on the property located at 712 Hot Meadow Street. Special exception approval is subject to the following conditions. The premise is defined as existing interior space which houses a business known as Peaberry's and seasonal outdoor seating area for 2 tables. The establishment will close by 10 p.m. daily. And number 3, entertainment such as music will not be amplified to outdoor seating area. Said entertainment will be heard outside of the interior for the establishment. End of motion.
Second?
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, it carries. Now, the question is,
Thanks.
should we take up the question of the sign permit? Since
don't-
DRB,
I don't think there's a
Are we
question
going to do
yet.
it next time,
Okay.
in 2 weeks?
Oh,
If they,
next 2
if they
weeks.
don't,
Yeah.
if they don't meet next time, we'll do it, right?
okay, all right.
Thanks.
I won't be here, so you guys are on your own.
Okay.
Kevin will handle it.
No sweat.
Definitely making some changes.
Okay, the next is the application 1810 of Mark Lubetkin, Redstone Horse and Carriage LLC agent, for a site plan amendment for service business in Simsbury, providing horse and carriage rides for entertainment on the property located at 800 Hot Meadow Street. I think we had a recommendation here from staff.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to clarify one of the items in my report. And Mr. Lebeck, as well as Mr. Seelig is here tonight, if there are any additional questions. In my staff review, I recommend a series of motions, of items in the form of conditions. And if I can just review those for a moment, and again, you have the applicant here to potentially bring clarification to those items. Item number 1 is the proprietor shall be responsible for acquiring and maintaining any necessary state permits and/or licenses associated with the operation of a horse and carriage service on public roads/streets within the state of Connecticut. 2, the approval is for no more than 4 horse and carriages, so it's 4 horses, 4 horse carriages. It's not 4 horses or 4 carriages. It could be a
Combination.
2-horse carriage, or could be Clydesdales, but it's 4 carriages and the support necessary to pull those 4 carriages. I tried to make that as clear in the language as possible. 3, the horses are boarded off-site. 4, the carriages are stored off-site. 5, waste generated by the horses is removed daily and not stored overnight. 6, the hours of operation shall not exceed Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And number 7 is the proposed off-site signage has not been approved at this time and shall be subject to a future application. And I'll try and clarify that.
Sure.
In their application, they're proposing taxi stands. The taxi stands have language associated with Redstone Pub, Redstone Horse and Carriage
Okay.
on the taxi stand. DRB did approve that language, so for the zoning enforcement officer to approve those signs, I wanted, right now, to me, it wasn't clear that the 12 signs are being asked for, but in speaking with the applicant, his application is to include all 12 signs, but those 12 signs would be coordinated with the planning department with regards to their final locations.
Sure.
Because Mr. Lebeck does not have those locations yet, and those locations will be determined based on potential partners, and if I misspeak, please correct me, partners with the carriage service.
Okay.
There are some permitting aspects associated with in the state right-of-way that we will work with the applicant on securing those permits. They may need to be slightly changed with regards to language to be in the right-of-way, or they may not need to be, but that is a discussion with others. Again, you could potentially view the signs internal to a site, and we'll use the Drake Hill Mall as an example, that if a sign is located internal to the site, it's not advertising the carriage ride, it's advertising a location to pick up a service. but there's, we'll call it brand identity there, so that someone knows it is that carriage they're waiting for. So I think in a view, what I'm looking for from direction from you is that the sign that's proposed, in essence, falls within the guides of a taxi stand signage and is not advertising under your regulations. And as such, can be approved, and the 12 locations to be determined by, in conjunction with the operator.
I don't have a problem with
Did I-
that. And they're temporary. These are temporary signage for this event.
My understanding is if
permanent.
the
Of course,
horse,
they're gonna keep using it.
Year-round.
It's an ongoing
If-
business.
and again,
Yeah.
we have the applicant here, so my discussions with the applicant, this is something they feel will be very successful, but in some aspects, it is a trial. And with regards to the operating hours, it may operate 7 days a week, 12 months out of the year, but we do live in New England. There may be a point in time that the signs are either not being utilized or are taken down temporarily because the service is not there during certain months of the year.
Like
And again-
Wednesday,
What?
like next Wednesday.
Yeah,
Like
the-
next
with snow,
Wednesday.
yeah.
But again, the difficulty and why you see this language in here, that the proposed off-site signage has not been approved at this time, because in the application, we don't have 12 locations.
Right. And
So-
partners or vendors.
You know, perhaps there needs to be a slight modification of this language, so it's clear that although the location is not approved yet,
Yep.
the commission authorizes the zoning enforcement officer working on behalf of the planning director to approve the final locations. And again, we'll review them from a public safety standpoint and a locational standpoint, that the loading and unloading of a vehicle can happen in a good location. Again, that's, Mr. Lebeck and Bill Seelig have been very forthright in their explanation of they want to do this in a manner that is successful. They want to do it in a safe manner. They don't want to put either themselves at jeopardy or their potential clients at risk picking a location that doesn't work.
So let me just offer this observation that now, this is the second conversation I've heard about this. We've had no presentation, and I don't really understand, other than the fact that there's going to be horses and carriages around Simsbury Center somewhere, as soon as we approve this, I guess. But I'm
Again,
not
the
clear
owner's
on
here
whether-
to explain
Yeah.
this.
He's gonna
Well,
tell
let's
us.
give him a chance to explain it, because I'm sensing now from your comments that this is some sort of hop-on, hop-off concept, and not just you get on it at one end of town and ride down to the other and back again. Like, you pay a certain amount, and you get a loop. This is some sort of hop-on, hop-off, isn't it? Okay.
It's both, actually. Yes, sir. Hello, everyone. Mark. The idea is, I'm going to give you the big picture first, because that's what I do best. The town of Simsbury, as beautiful as it is, struggles with connecting businesses across the Simsbury Center.
Mark, excuse me, you should state your name and address for the record,
Yes,
please.
sir. Sorry. Mark Lebetkin, 107 East Weetog, Simsbury.
Thank you.
Live in town. Redstone Pub at 10 Jim Gallagher Way is mine. For those of you that know where that is. My partners are Bill Seelig and Evan Christensen, who owns Flamig Farm. Bill has the farm across from the Flower Bridge with that white silo and the horses, which is very close to Simsbury Center, which is why we're partnering with him in addition to his business savvy in town. Nevin has the experience of running a horse and carriage business in this community for decades, until the last 10 years when I guess his brother didn't want to do that part of the business. So we have experts in each area. I love horses, but I'm not a horse expert. They are both horse experts. What we wanted to do as a business was connect the businesses in town to offer the ability to travel first initially on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays in the late afternoon evenings from about 4:30, 5 o'clock until about 9:30,
and be able to go around town, pick up the carriage stop at various locations. And in that packet, you should have a loop diagram. If you don't, I will pass them around. The idea would be to allow people
don't.
to hop on and hop off, or on Saturday afternoons from noon until 3, we'd be doing historic tours in conjunction with the Historic Society. The gentleman and the woman who wrote the book for Simsbury is working with us to write the verbiage for these stops and select the stops. You don't have to.
Thank you. That's okay, we can share.
So the idea would be up Hot Meadow, down Iron Horse. So not going through Drake Hill Mall, but around Drake Hill Mall. So from that light at Drake Hill and the Flower Bridge Road, the carriage would go north in the pathway where the cars normally park, which really they only park in front of Joe Pizza at this point in time. And they go all the way up to the Simsbury Town Shops, cut through, come down Iron Horse until they get to Jim Gallagher Way, where they would come up to Redstone, and then north again on Railroad Street to the Historic Society, passing the McGladdens and the Plan B, et cetera, so that people could go shopping in a positive way. It adds a sense of culture and community to the town that is, unless you're a walker, it's a mile of walking that is beyond some people's abilities. So we're going to have an app where you're going to be able to see where the person is based upon you find me, and you'll be able to see where the carriage is. On the sign, it'll have the text phone number. You text the carriage driver, and the carriage driver would text you back saying, I am full, it'll be 20 minutes, or I'm one stop away and you're at stop number 2, or stop number 3, or stop number 4. If I'm at stop 1 with the horse and carriages and you're at stop 4, I know it's a 10-minute ride with all the stops along the way. So we would text the person back. There would be a driver and a footman. The footman would be holding the horses and assisting the people in and out of the carriage and collecting the money. The driver would be responsible for driving and controlling the horses. And the footman and the driver jointly would be able to discuss the town of Simsbury and all the positive things about it. So as you're going through town, just like you see when you do carriage rides in other places, this is Memorial Hall. It was built in, here is Joe Pizza. They have a special this weekend. Don't forget to check them out. We get at the Starbucks. It's our last stop going north, folks, if you want to hop off and have a coffee and go check out, the flower shop and all these. So that's the kind of business service we're offering. We're not going to make money at this, folks, let's be honest, the horse and carriage business. We just want to make ends meet. We're funding the business through the sale of the leasing of the signs that we've been talking about. So we're hoping that the major businesses will invest in these signs, which gives us our funding to do this. The signs are just like the CT Transit signs. It has the logo, it has the website, and it has the phone number. It went in front of Design Review Board. They approved it, but I want to show it to you if that's okay. I think I have one here.
Have you gotten good feedback from the businesses in town?
Phenomenal. Thank you for reminding me to say that.
Sure.
We met with the Selectman's Office, we met with Department of Public Works, we met with the Police Department, we met with the Fire Department, we met with Farmington Valley Health District. We've done all this. Everyone's in support of this. The number one question I get is, what do you do with the poop? Well, there's a bag under the horse's butt. It catches the poop while you're going on the road, so you don't have to worry about that. And then when it gets back to Simsbury Historic Society, where we're going to have 3 spaces for the carriage and driver to take a break on their route. We have a muck bucket, we have a water bucket, we're going to have a warming hut there. The Ensign Bakeford hut that's there is being restored by us as a service to the Historic Society for allowing us to do this, as well as them generating some rent income from us to help this Historic Society. So we have a lease with them, and it took about 3 months to get through it with the attorney back and forth for 3 parking spaces. And they're really helpful, wonderful people up there, but it is an institution, so we have to make sure we do it right. So the plot is here. This is where the 3 spaces are, the water bucket, et cetera. I think we have a picture of that. The route, and then this is the sign that we're looking at. The only change, and I know Design Review Board approved the Facebook things on the bottom. I've gotten to the point where I don't really like them, so I wouldn't have this part. But it has stop numbers, so we can identify the stop, because we have to know where that stop is. It's not going to say Dave's stop, it's going to say stop number 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we'll know, because we're going to have maps available, where those stops are. And our business partners, let's say it's Starbucks, I don't know if it is, or will be, we won't know until we get approval from you before it goes in front of us. They will rent that sign for a 12-month period, and at the end of that 12 months, they'll get it back. Or they'll renew it with us, hopefully, for additional. So we have our logo here that identifies our business, our text, and our website, so that people can get the information on when we do our services, et cetera. So that's the sign. The idea was PVC pipe sunk in the ground with a smaller one, with the sign on top, with a cap. The drivers would go around and put the signs out at the beginning of the shift, and at the end of the shift, and the weekend, they would take them down and put the cap on. Because it's just PVC, it is not impactful to a vehicle if it was to run up against it, not like the metal posts that are out there right now.
So these are not really permanent signs. That's not the intention.
No, they're out only when we're open, basically. So if we are doing it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings and Saturday afternoons, we'll probably put them out on Thursday and pick them up again on either Saturday night or Sunday day. And we'll make sure that the road is also picked up in case any of the poop didn't make it into the basket. And then it's weather dependent. So if we have Wednesday coming up, we're not doing it. It doesn't mean we can't do this in the wintertime. It provides some nice warm blankets, some hot chocolate as they go around, winter wonderland kind of things. We also want to be available to the churches and other establishments only in the town center, so that if there's a life event and somebody wants to do photos at the Flower Bridge, we can provide that service to them. We want to be able to participate in the town parade. We've already been asked. We want to be able to participate in the Historic Society when they do their events and offer the carriage rides for them. It's a service to the town.
Well, you don't have a drive down to the bridge, to the Flower Bridge.
This is just the loop. This is the service loop.
So you won't normally go down to that?
No, not unless, because it's a left turn. One of the things I worked out with the police is everything we do is a right turn. We're never crossing traffic.
Makes sense.
The only time we would do that would be if we were going straight from one of the churches to the Flower Bridge for a wedding ceremony.
Hot Meadow is scary on Saturdays.
Right.
I mean, I can't even picture a horse and carriage on Hot Meadow on a Saturday.
This might be faster.
Or not.
I mean, trying to cross Hot Meadow alone is a death wish.
I think the idea for weddings is nice, but I guess you'll have to just tell them that you're limited to the 4. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've been getting calls from New Haven because we have the LLC set up. So we're listed now as a horse and carriage business, and I have to tell them no. It's going to be in demand.
The police were okay with Hot Meadow on a Saturday and horse and carriages.
Yes, ma'am.
Really?
Yes. It's also part of the state law that horse and carriage have the right-of-way on public roads. They actually
Well-
come before the,
So do pedestrians, but let me tell you how that works.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, for a moment, to go back to item number 7. If, some potential revised language, if I may. The final location of the 12 proposed taxi signs shall be reviewed and approved by the Director of Planning and Community Development in consultation with the town engineer, public works director, and chief of police. So again, you're delegating authority within the Simsbury Center Code, which the planning director has when you delegate that. But I would be comfortable doing that so long as it was in consultation with the public works director and chief of police, who are responsible for roads, as well as the town engineer. A good majority of these will probably all occur internal to the road system, but there could be the occasion that there is a proposed stop either on a town road or a state road. But again, this gives a little bit of flexibility, which the Simsbury Center Code allows to the planning director.
You have concern with that?
I'm okay with that. I have another question, though, for Mark.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
So I'm just trying to think this through. Good example of maybe a conflict is the Hartford Marathon, half marathon, is going to be on Iron Horse. So during that period of time, you would just not have horses be running because,
We are not going to have the horses running anytime there's a major event in town.
okay,
So whenever the Performing Arts Center has the Talcott Mountain Music Festival, we won't be doing this.
okay,
Partly because the Historic Society wants to sell the parking spaces.
Sure.
More important, the raucous energy is not necessarily good for the horses.
right,
The only time I think we may participate would be Simsbury celebrates
the
in the
Torchlight Parade? Mm-hmm,
Because they've been asking already
okay,
for us to lead the parade with the horse and carriage. And we would be happy to participate doing something like that. But when there's a crazy something going on in town,
Right.
I don't want to be there any more than you want me to be there.
yeah, it's not my feeling, but I understand how many, I mean, we're talking upwards of thousands of people for running, and I can't, right, I can't imagine. Okay,
It wouldn't be positive. It would not be a positive experience for me.
sure, okay.
I think that is in our write-up somewhere. I don't have it memorized.
Mark, of these two loops, which one are you actually doing? The
It's
inside
going
loop?
up here.
No, this, right here.
Yep. So let's say it starts here, it comes up here, down here, around here, and up
Oh,
here.
you're actually going to loop around?
Yes, sir. This is the Jim Gallagher Way to
Yeah.
Railroad Street to the Historic Society, where they'll make their stop and rest if they need to, and then they'll come back out and around. And this portion is only for the historic tours. It's only for the historic
This
tours,
part?
as of right now.
I mean, if we find that there's a business that eventually opens down at this end, I don't know if that happens, that they want service at that end, we could extend it. But I would work with Jamie Rabbit in his office.
So yeah, the majority of businesses that we see happening are going to be along where the businesses in the community are already
Yeah,
located.
no, I thought you were going to go up here and down that way. I was wondering.
Did you want to add?
This is my part.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Seelig. And as Mark was saying, the horses would be kept on my property on Riverside Road. I have a 5-acre farm, but I've just recently purchased the adjacent 11-acre parcel on Riverside Road. So I'll have room to take proper care of the animals, which is the other concern that a lot of different organizations have, is how are these animals cared for? Is everything, proper and green? And I'm very much in favor of this as a businessman in town, having a jewelry store here, because I think it fits really well with what people want. The charrette that we had a couple of years ago, it talked about being able to infill some of the streets and be able to get more retail in the center of town, which of course I'm in favor of. Although I am closing my studio gallery, I'm combining it with my regular store, because that didn't work. But I'm very excited about, when Mark came to me, there were concerns that I had, safety, care of the animals. He called me a horse expert. I'm not a horse expert. I have horses, and I'm learning quite a bit about it, but it's something that I started in middle age. It's not like I grew up and my parents were farmers and so forth and so on. That's where we recruited Nevin. And Nevin feels the same way about the community. We want to do something that's really special out here, that's going to allow us to feature all the wonderful restaurants that we have, to see more retail come into town, for this to really take off a little bit as a tourist destination. I think what's happening, I love what's happening with the town buying the building by the Flower Bridge and the potential for more people being able to have access to the river. I just think all of these things are come together, and the uniqueness in Connecticut of having something like this, I think is going to be part of what can put this place on the map as a tourist location, not like we're going to get flooded with tourists, but a place where people will come when they want to relax in the country and they want to take advantage of all of the different things that is the history of this town. And I think it's a wonderful thing, and that's why I want to participate in it. Basically, I'm making my property available, and I'm going to help in any way that I can. If I have to be the one that takes my truck out and checks to make sure there's no poop on the road, I'll go take care of that. It's going to be great for young people because this footman position is something where we'll have hopefully volunteers, we'll have different groups, perhaps even the Boy Scouts might be interested because they have a badge for this sort of thing. And it's something that I've always tried to do with my business, is to have young people coming up, come to work for me, help train them, teach them how good work habits, all that sort of thing. And I just think that this is a wonderful thing for Simsbury, for the history of the town. I grew up in Windsor, but my father managed Wagner Ford for 25 years prior to his opening his dealership in Windsor. And so I've been coming out here since I was 5 years old. And I've known this as a farming community, and I've seen the development in the town. And I think that this is the sort of thing that will continue the heritage of the town and will make us something that's really special in Connecticut, especially with all that they're doing with the cutbacks in tourism dollars and all the things that are kind of going the wrong way with the town, with the state right now. I think this is an opportunity for us to do something that's just really great for the community, and that's why I'm involved.
Thank you. Questions from,
Just one last thing, and I'm sure that you guys, experience will tell you more than you've probably been able to sort of work out at this point, but on the economics of this thing. I'm just curious as to whether the notion is a round-trip ticket or some sort of, you buy a ticket and it's good all day, or how do you
We
do
have
this?
those
Or if you
options,
go
yes,
from
sir.
stop 2 down to stop number 8, it's X, and that's all you want to do. You're going to be able to accommodate all those scenarios? Oh, okay.
Well, I think that we're looking at this as, we have a starting point, Mark has a plan, we're going to try it. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of changes that we have to make. I'm sure that there are going to be possibly different ways that we're going to have to get the support of the community and the businesses. It might not be that one organization is sponsoring one stop eventually. It might be that we get a group together in that area that all want to be part of this. So we really, because this is something that's brand new, that nobody really in the state has tried to do, we're not sure exactly how it's going to work. We know that we're going to have a combination. We'll have the Hackney-style carriages that are great for a wedding party, or, you know, that are good for 4 people, 2 up on the top and 2 on the bottom. We know that if we're going to have this be successful, we're going to have a team with some sort of a carriage that can carry 6 or 8 people, or however many it works out, so that people will have it available. We don't want to disappoint people either. We don't want to have them come for this and then find out that we're booked for 3 weeks. We want to make sure that everybody can participate in this And of course, we're going to have it so that we can get reservations and let people know that we're busy on a particular day or whatever. But all of these things have to kind of flow as we see how this is all going to work out. And I don't know of any other way of doing it. I know that any time I've done anything in my business or tried something new, that's what you have to do. You have to try it, you have to experiment, you have to get feedback from people. If we found out that it was impossible to, we were stopping traffic on Route 10 on Saturday afternoons, then we'd have to find some alternative or some other way of making it work. Because this is a community effort, and it's something that we want to do to participate in the community and to enhance our community. And I want to bring more people out to buy jewelry. And I think that's really what's going to sell this with other businesses in town.
Okay, thank you. We have to consider the site plan amendment, not the business plan.
No, but I do, okay. I do have two questions, though, I guess. They're somehow related to the site
Okay.
plan. So tell me what we are considering as far as the site plan, the route or these?
We're approving their ability to use the site as a stopping place.
Parking lot. It's
Okay.
historical
Parking
society,
lot.
right?
Can I try and clarify?
Sure.
You're approving a business at a specific location that also operates throughout the downtown.
And the
But it's-
signage.
But it's site-specific to the Historic Society's property. That is where the business is located. So, if someone was doing walking tours of the downtown or ghost tours, this is that type of thing. It is, the place of business
Right.
is home-based on the Historic Society property. It then operates on public and/or private property throughout the downtown. But
Right.
again, you were looking at a site plan amendment for the Historic Society site that allows them to take 3 parking spaces and utilize them for horse and carriage purposes during specific business hours.
That's, right, that seems to be okay.
Well, then the
Speaking-
question is,
Right,
they're
it's,
losing parking spaces. Do they have enough?
but
Well, that's staff.
it affects more than just the Historic Society, so it affects Route 10. It affects traffic, it affects everything else, so I guess I just feel like we don't have the feedback from the police and how that's gonna affect
Well,
the
We're the
rest.
zoning commission. The police
Yeah.
have their own concerns with it, and the
Route 10
police
is
can
a
say,
public
no.
road, and horses and carriages are allowed to travel
Okay.
on that public road under Connecticut statute.
Okay.
And people aren't supposed to go faster than 10 miles an hour around them.
Yeah,
I ride a bike in this town, and let me just tell you about
Okay.
that.
But let's kind of get this
So
under control. We've either got to.
Do they have enough parking spaces then if they lose the 3?
There's, looking at analysis of parking in the area and within the downtown, and again, the fact that this business in his application to you states that it will not operate during major Simsbury events
right,
when parking is stressed,
right.
Okay.
that there is sufficient parking in a downtown setting
For the Historic Society.
for the
On a
Historic
normal-
Society,
Yeah,
as
right.
well as this as a use within downtown proper.
Okay.
So staff didn't see any issues with, we'll say, the loss of 3 spaces
Right.
on the Historic Society's property with this use.
So, no other question?
Pardon?
I'm done.
Okay. Joe? Have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd offer the motion to approve, except that I didn't get all of the language of number 7. If somebody else has that, or could help me with it, I'd be happy to.
Coming right up.
Okay, thank you.
I rewrote it at the bottom.
Okay. So I move approval of this motion to approve application 18-10 of Mark Lubickton, Redstone Horse and Carriage LLC agent, the Simsbury Historical Society, Inc. owner, for a site plan amendment for a personal service business in the Simsbury Center District to provide horse and carriage rides for entertainment on the property located at 800 Hot Meadow Street, Assessor's Map G10, Block 227, Lot 001. The site plan amendment is subject to the following conditions. The proprietor shall be responsible for acquiring and maintaining any necessary state permits and/or licenses associated with the operation of a horse and carriage service on public roads and streets within the state of Connecticut. Item 2, the approval is for no more than 4 horse and carriages, as well as, 4 horse and carriages. Number 3, the horses are boarded off-site. Number 4, the carriages are stored off-site. Number 5, waste generated by the horses is removed daily and not stored overnight. And Item 6, the hours of operation shall not exceed Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then item 7, and last, the final location of the 12 proposed taxi stand signs shall be reviewed and approved by the Director of Planning and Community Development in consultation with Town Engineer, Public Works Director, and the Chief of Police. The final location is,
That was it.
end of motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a second? Second by Kevin. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. Thank you. Congratulations.
And Mark, I want to put in a plug for having the historic tour include a reference to our new Veterans Memorial down by the library, on the other side of Route 10. So, just
Taking advantage
if
of
you
it.
need help with composing a,
Yes. Will you drop off your composed?
sure,
at the
I
pub
will. I'd
for
be happy to.
Veterans Night?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Okay, thank you. Application 1811, this is for Berkshire Bank, site plan amendment for air conditioner condenser enclosures. Does staff have a,
Mr. Chairman, you do have a letter before you with a draft motion. I'd say that motion was kind of with the assumption that DRB would be reviewing and approving that this evening. They did not have a quorum, although polling the 2 members that were there, they had no issues with the proposed screening. Just to give you a little bit of background with the application, the bank, which is at 16 Albany Turnpike, is on the corner of Bushy Hill and Route 44. It has been constructed as a shell for almost 2 years now. As they were fitting out the bank and installing the HVAC, they modified the location of their units onto one area that was proposed as a sidewalk and a secondary area to the northwest in a slightly different arrangement than what was originally approved. They then secured that with a perimeter fence that the zoning enforcement officer has been working with the contractor with regards to that fencing. That fencing was removed. The resolution of that fencing was an application to the zoning commission for an alternative fence and/or screening device, which is before you this evening. As your staff, as well as the staff of the DRB, it's my opinion that the proposed screening for security of those HVACs is done in a very appropriate manner that will match the architecture of the building. We do have a representative here from the bank. A conservative view would be to table action until DRB makes a decision, meets in 2 weeks. But again, your task is to refer it to the design review board. It is their task to review and respond to you with an opinion. Unfortunately, they did not meet this evening.
And the bank is open, correct?
The bank is open, so
Not holding up anything?
if you tabled this evening,
Okay.
it does not affect the operational aspects of the bank. They have a temporary CO. If you looking our language proposed in the motion, this would tie the improvements to a final CO. There's landscaping associated with the bank, that's already tied into a final CO. So there is still work that will occur at the bank prior to the issuance of a final certificate of occupancy, which is predicated on a final certificate of zoning compliance. So if you look at it right now, they don't comply with the landscaping code or screening, but they have posted surety for both of those. So prior to you even accepting this as an application, they posted surety for landscaping and the construction of these proposed improvements. So, again, this does not jeopardize the operations of the bank.
Is there an advantage to them if we approve it tonight?
I cannot answer that for you.
I'm pleased to speak. John, take it to the podium. John Einison with EDM Architects and Engineers. We were the architect and engineers for the bank, for the shell, the interior renovations. So
Where's your business?
we're in Unionville.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I'm a West Hartford resident, but we're in Unionville. So we did the original architecture for the shell, and as Mr. Rabbit, it did sit there for a little while before they got the interior. They were going through a reevaluation of their kind of interior banking concept, which kind of held things up a little while. But so it's absolutely correct. There's a surety that's been posted for the landscaping and for the enclosures, and we have a proposal in place from the contractor to do both. Obviously, it would be advantageous to have action on it tonight, but we're local. We're happy to come back in 2 weeks and go before design review board if that's the course of action.
What do you think? Anybody?
I don't have any
have
other
a problem
questions.
with
Like,
it.
I think we should refer to design review. I think we should get their opinion on it. It's not holding up. The business is open. That's why I asked.
Yeah,
Okay.
the only thing is we're holding it up for, I mean, there's no guarantee there's going to be a quorum there
Right,
next
I mean,
2
they're
weeks
not
from now
very,
either.
And then we could vote on it
We can
then.
approve it again next
We
week.
could approve it now, too, and
Yeah.
not have to have the suspense on the applicant or our own as to
Right.
what's on our agenda.
I think we should act when we can, if it's appropriate. If there's anything that, staff doesn't think that there's any issue, that,
and it matches.
Well,
the
if we could
buildings.
add in terms of, in the context of our approval, an approval motion, that the, well, I don't know.
No, we can
Yeah,
just approve
I
it.
mean, It would just have to be approved as submitted.
Following through on Mr. Elliott's thought, that would be a delegation of authority away to another board without clear direction.
No, I would just approve it.
And how many members reviewed it tonight? 3?
Two.
2. Wow.
There are only 5 members at this, there's a 6-member commission with 5 members. We have 1 vacancy right now.
And there were only 2?
We had 2. We had 1 individual who had a conflict, and we had 2 who developed conflicts late in the day.
But it is 2 meetings in a row that there's been a failure to reach a quorum. Is that factual or no?
This- Again, they're a 6-member commission with 4 members constitute a quorum. They're down 1 member right now. I don't want to say I'm making excuses for them, but we hope soon we may be at full strength at the DRB.
I don't know, my inclination would be to approve it and get it moving,
I would be inclined to do the same.
but if anybody feels strongly we should table it, we can table it.
I think if we can move it forward, we should.
unless there's a...
Jackie, you're the one that seems to have the most concern.
Yeah, because, I mean, feel better that two people have seen it, but it's not holding up their business. It's not holding them up from doing.
Okay, in this case, the design review board exists to give us advice,
Correct. And this is what they look at.
right? And we
Can take it or not
take
take
it or
yeah.
not.
That's fine.
And
If you
if
want to
we're-
take a vote on it, it's fine.
I just feel like if we're holding somebody up, this
That's
thing's
fine.
been going for a long time. As a matter of principle, I'd like to make sure we move things when we can.
Sure.
And I think we have to be comfortable that it's a good situation.
Well, the only thing we're being asked to approve right now is the
Screening.
panels in front of, or the screening, but in front of the condensers that are already there, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I
I
think we
guess,
could do that.
I wouldn't want to send a message to our DRB colleagues that we're not appreciative of their diligent effort, but I think we should go ahead and make a determination here. And although recognizing the fact that the bank has taken a couple of years to get to this stage, but still in all.
Why don't you make a motion and we'll,
Well, I would move that we approve the application. Number
1811.
Okay. Approve application 1811 of John Innocent, EDM agent Jeffrey S. Hoffman, 16 Albany Turnpike LLC, owner for a site plan amendment for air conditioning condenser enclosures at Berkshire Bank on the property located at 16 Albany Turnpike, Assessors Map A20, Block 503, Lot 001. Site plan amendment is subject to the following condition. The proposed screening of the HVAC unit shall be installed prior to the issuance of a final certificate of occupancy. End of motion.
Second.
Second. All right, Kevin, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Application 1812, this is to schedule a public hearing for March 19th. Can I have a motion to schedule a public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we schedule a public hearing on application 18-12 for our upcoming meeting on March 19th. Am I correct in saying all that?
I think it's for April 2nd.
April 2nd, for our upcoming meeting on April 2nd.
What? Oh, April 2nd.
Not right?
Second that.
March
Second.
9th.
Well, we have a 19th meeting and we have an April 2nd meeting, right?
Yeah, which one is it?
Yeah, on the
The agenda says April 2nd.
April 2nd on the agenda.
Is that too far out?
We have to, it has to be in the paper.
Well, again, we can do the 19th, that's tight, but April 2nd.
It'd be better. So April 2nd would be better from staff standpoint?
It's conservative with regards to if there's an error in the legal notice, we're allowed to republish without jeopardizing the hearing.
Want to amend your motion?
He made it.
Oh, you made it. You amend your motion to make
April
it.
2nd, though.
You did say
Joe
April
did say
2nd?
April
So-
2nd.
And I'll second that.
We're
Seconded
comfortable
by-
with that, then that's fine. If you would like it on the 19th, I'll amend it, but.
Well, let me ask a question before we finalize that. I've drove by there today, and I may be confused, but it looks to me like when I look at the picture here of the proposed sign, I see something that looks just like that already on the building.
You are correct.
I asked the same question.
So I would say
I've
that
never-
there's not really a sense of urgency on this matter, probably, in that the business owner's already enjoying the sign. So April 2nd sounds like it would probably be agreeable to the owner.
I guess I should change the year to 2017. I need to amend it, it's already been done.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, 6-0, it passes for,
Mr. Chairman, I did miss the second on that. I know Joe made the.
I made the second.
Kevin, thank you.
okay, general commission business.
I have no new correspondence for you, Mr. Chairman.
Then we have flood management.
I do under agenda item 2, zoning regulations amendments. We did meet as a subcommittee. Bruce, Mike, Donna, and Tom Frank was also in attendance. We worked through the list that was given to the commission in February. I will be sending out an invite on potential days to meet again, but I think it was a really good discussion. Staff got some direction on, as far as doing some model language that would potentially address the issues contained in that item. I think there's only one item that was put off for the time being, and that's the one dealing with signage, because it's a much broader discussion than just that 1 or 2 sentences contained in the handout in February. But again, I think it was a very productive meeting and discussion, and I look forward with meeting with the subcommittee again, so potentially we'll have something to report back to you at your April meeting, working with the commission in March.
What was the meeting? Amendments?
There's a subcommittee now,
Yeah.
Jackie.
Subcommittee, well,
I
Jackie,
hear that.
We'll forward the items. Mr. Ryan discussed with staff a few months ago a potential, some low-hanging fruit with regards to issues we've been dealing with over time. Workforce housing, accessory apartments, signage, and a few other processes associated with just the general terms you've been dealing with over the 2 years that perhaps we can check off as a bucket list before the comprehensive rewrite is complete.
Great.
And
we should add
Jackie, I'll
Jackie to the
forward you
committee.
that memo. I'll forward you that memo. With regards to floodplain
Kim.
management, the state, the town of Simsbury is part of a management system when it comes to flood insurance. And individuals in the community are allowed to get a reduced rate on their flood insurance if certain provisions are contained within the town's floodplain management regulations. Mike Glidden has been working with the state, and the state has recommended certain amendments to our zoning regulations to comply with that program's requirements. So Mike had developed this draft for you to look at, and my suggestion is if you don't feel comfortable with staff's recommendations, which are in essence strong recommendations made by the state to maintain your membership in the program, we would recommend potentially submitting an application on your behalf to amend the zoning regulations to update your floodplain management regulations and potentially schedule a hearing for April 2nd
To add that to the agenda.
as a public hearing.
Yeah.
So this is a rewrite of Chapter 4, or Article 4,
Article 4, yes.
and so everything here is the recommendation.
Is a recommendation being made by the states.
So we're not looking for particular paragraphs or lines or whatever, it's the whole thing.
We're just chunking it out and
Okay.
putting
Yes.
this in.
Again, as part of the application, when we send a packet out to you, we'll do the full search and replace of anything we're deleting and everything we're inserting. We will have that for you. Again, this is in essence a requirement to maintain our eligibility in the program.
Oh, gotcha.
Now, what should we do this evening? Should we schedule a public hearing, or should we just be
You
aware?
could either do it by motion, or if there's consensus that you won't be offended, if town, your staff takes it upon themselves to submit an application and schedule a hearing for your April meeting.
That's fine.
Okay, you'll be doing it on our behalf.
I would be doing it on your behalf. So the applicant would be Dave Ryan, Chairman of the Planning and Zoning, Chairman of the Zoning Commission, Town of Simsbury.
Or you're not going to be here that night?
Yeah, he's not going to be here.
I'll be here.
No.
And again, that's a good idea.
The other thing we could potentially do, if you want to read through this and just compare what we have and what is being proposed, you could say Jamie would rather read it. We will get back to you in 2 weeks, and then we can react 2 weeks from now.
But you still have to,
We have to make the changes anyway, so.
Still have to read it.
And then we
I mean,
schedule a public
we could read it in the
There is a
meantime
strong
while we're waiting till
recommendation
April
that
2nd,
These
right?
changes be made.
That gives me enough time to
Gotcha.
read
Yeah, I
it,
think
yeah.
so.
Keep it moving here.
So, yeah, you have consensus to go ahead
Okay.
on our behalf.
So we will submit an application on the chairman's behalf and schedule a hearing for April 2nd.
Great.
Thank you.
Good. Wonderful.
That's all I have for you, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Joe, all in favor?
Bye.
Opposed? Thank you, guys.